On the 2400 block of southeast Minnesota, where a 17-year-old was shot and killed. I'm actually standing on the exterior wall of what was once Mr. Creer's garage.
A teenager is lucky to be alive this morning after she was struck by lightning.
We're just a few minutes away from actually that exploding. 4.6 of dynamite. What a difference we have seen here in the past 14 hours.
Police are continuing to investigate a robbery and stabbing.
No doubt the safest place to be in your home of a storm of this magnitude is the basement, or the lowest level of your home. And for this home, it's almost all that's left.
And KDHE did a test on the water here at the swimming area. They said that it is safe to swim in.
It's absolutely amazing what a little bit of ice can do.
Still trying to figure out what to do for this Mother's Day. How about Mother's Day on the wild side at the Topeka Zoo?
Some felt the earthquake here, considering that it happened about 500 miles from here.
And you spell the word Gurdon. I don't even know what that means.
The tornado in Jewel last night, a living nightmare for two people who say they're thankful to be alive.
We hit just got across the street, and we hit the basement door. And my husband said, "We got to get to the basement. You got to get to the basement now."
Dave and Susan said that they came through this door, and it was just moments later when they took shelter in this basement. They say all of a sudden they looked up, and all they could see was sky.
And then it was just, everything was on top of us. It was just all the debris and everything was all over the top of us.
And that debris injured Susan so badly she had to be hospitalized.
I had to go to the emergency room because I got my legs hurt by the flying stuff. So that's where I was at 2 o'clock this morning.
Like Susan, Leroy also found himself trapped in debris.
I felt something come over on my head and shoulders, and it just sounded terrible.
Leroy was inside his family-owned truck shop when it was destroyed in the storm.
Ended up getting a phone call saying couldn't hear from my dad and nobody's been able to find Dad.
But Leroy was okay, just shaken. His son was too.
Believe it, I didn't even care about the shop, didn't care about the trucks. I just knowing that he was that close to really not making it, and I'm not sure how he did.
It's hard to believe the injuries were not more serious when you look at things like Leroy's business just torn from the ground, and you look at the home that Susan was in, no longer standing. Also gone, the water tower. And take a look at this, a dog kennel just shredded to pieces.
We clean it up, and it was built once, we can build it again.
Our thoughts are with those in Jewel tonight as they continue to recover.
Yeah, Rochelle, that boy was just 12 years old. An unbelievable story. The names in this story have been changed to protect their identity.
It was just after 11, and Sandy went to pick up her 12-year-old son at the carnival at the Expo Center, but her son had already left. Shortly after, she received a panicked phone call on her cell phone.
He said, "Mama, they have cut me up. Said they have attacked me. Said these Hispanics have attacked me for no reason at all."
Her son says he was walking home around 20th and Clay when three men ages 15 to 25 jumped him. They said they were a member of a gang and started hitting him and stabbing him all over his body.
He was just like a bloody hulk. And I put him in the car. I got on 911 on his cell phone and called the police department. And they said, "Keep him there." I said, "No, he's bleeding too bad. I'm taking my son to the hospital."
At Stormont Vale, he was treated for 5 stab wounds and released with bandages.
I thought he was going to die. I really did, because he was just gushing with blood everywhere. I just didn't I thought they had cut an artery.
He showed us his stab wounds, but they were not only too graphic to show, but we also wanted to conceal his identity. His mom wants justice and an end to all this violence.
Innocent children dying. This has got to stop. These gangs and stuff, they got to stop. Because I don't want this to happen to any more children in this town.
Unbelievable. Sergeant Klump with the Topeka Police Department admits that there are indicators here that this may be gang-related violence. No arrests have been made. If you have any information about last night's attack on this young boy, you're asked to call Topeka detectives. They can be reached at 368-9400.
I talked about how I was going to be a big football player and all that stuff, and it didn't occur to me until later that I'd never be able to be that football star. I'd never be able to do a lot of the stuff that I used to do.
We had gone to Chicago to pick up Jamar who was at IIT, and we were coming back.
We were running really late, and that probably explains why I was asleep, that we were trying to get back to my second oldest brother's graduation.
About an hour north of Kansas City, we had an accident at midnight.
My mom fell asleep at the wheel.
I woke up flying and hitting the side markers, the little white things, and slammed on the brake.
I either didn't have or didn't correctly have my seatbelt on, and somewhere in the process I was thrown out of the vehicle.
They were put in the helicopters and life flighted. It was pretty easy to see how bad it was.
All I remember was waking up in Children's Mercy.
With Javon, he had open head injuries, closed head injuries. His whole body core was pretty crushed. He was on life support for about 2 weeks with the little thing that looks like a Silver Lake eagle on the back of his head to test to see if he had brain activity. From the very beginning, we were told he wasn't going to make it.
I had a whole bunch of questions running through my head at that point in time, and when I was in the hospital, it was why am I here, what happened, where's my family? I have really no childhood memories before the age of 10. I asked this a couple days later, my parents walk in, and that's when I kind of realized I don't have any memory before the car accident, because I knew who my parents were, but I had lost the memory of who they were.
And the day after Christmas, Jayla died very unexpectedly. And to this day, we really don't have an understanding of why.
I think after the car accident, I thought I was just going to be a bum, probably. And now it's turned from being a bum to how much can I be? Forge probably has impacted me more. It's given me kind of a different look onto life.
Davis.
And I'm Brian Dorman. Gosh, this certainly wasn't the weather we were expecting or hoping for on a Saturday afternoon.
But will we be able to dry things out for Sunday? Let's ask meteorologist Rob Peppers, who is in for meteorologist Drew Schweitzer. Hi, Rob.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Rob, glad you can join us tonight. And because of the weather, we had a lot of people concerned about tonight's Huff and Puff balloon event out at Lake Shawnee.
We received tons of calls, but the event is canceled due to conditions being just too wet.
And on to some national news tonight as Tropical Storm Hannah makes landfall this morning in the Carolinas. All eyes now turn to the Atlantic.
Hurricane Ike is a ferocious Category 4 hurricane.
KDOT will have to make plans on how to handle a delay in federal cash reimbursements. The Federal Highway Administration announced Friday that a low balance in the Federal Highway Trust Fund will cause a delay in reimbursements and partial compensation. Secretary of Transportation Deb Miller says that this is a serious blow to KDOT and may not allow them to proceed with some projects. Congress will be looking into pending legislation that would give an $8 billion to the Highway Trust Fund to help with the budget crisis. Boeing machinists are on strike today after federally mandated contract talks failed to produce an agreement. The strike includes 750 workers in Wichita. The machinists assemble Boeing's commercial planes and some key components. Key strike issues include payout, sourcing, retirement, and health care benefits. Talks had continued under a 48-hour contract extension but could not produce any results. This is the machinists' second strike they struck for 28 days back in 2005. Coming up after this quick break, we will show you how the dogs spent this Saturday. Where they were may surprise you. This is a fun story. The rain didn't stop dogs from hanging out at the swimming pool this afternoon.